Okay, we have quorum, so let's get started. Can we call the roll, please?
Chris Sturbaum. Chris Sturbaum.
I'm here.
John Saunders.
I'm here.
Doug Bruce. Sam DeSaller.
Here.
Deb Hutton.
Here.
Susan Dyer. Renard Cross. Jeff Golden.
Here.
Duncan Campbell.
Here.
Derek Ritchie. Jenny Southern.
Here.
Great, so there's a copy of the minutes in your packet. Hopefully you've had a chance to review, and I'm entertaining a motion to approve those minutes unless there's some change that you'd like to make.
So approved.
Second.
Okay, Chris Sturbaum.
Yes.
John Saunders.
Yes.
Sam DeSaller.
Yes.
Deb Hutton.
Yes.
Jeff Golden.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so let's go right into COA. So we're on COA 21-08.
So this is a continuation from the February 11th HPC meeting. We asked the petitioner to come back with more information, specifying certain details about the project. Tonight, the application is going to be represented by Mark Cornett, who I saw is in the meeting with us. So you can direct your questions towards Mark. Just a quick recap of what's going on here. They're going to be demoing decks on the north and east elevations, rebuilding kind of wraparound porch. They're going to restore what's currently an enclosed front porch to original configurations, which means they're going to open it back up. It's going to have a door where a window currently is, and a window where a door currently is. They're going to have lap siding, vinyl lap siding. That's a new development that we're going to be having that. So no more board and batten, 4-inch reveal. They're going to rebuild some rear additions. Staff is recommending approval of 2108. We've gotten some more visualizations here. You can see we're going to open up some transoms above the doors. We're going to resize this to be slightly larger. So you can see it there. Mark's designed this. It's going to be no railings on the porch. It's just going to be open. And then we have these as well. I submitted, or I sent an email to the HPC about 3 hours ago with these. When I got them, I sent them to you. So hopefully all the specifications look like they were there to me. But like I said, if you have any more questions, please direct those to Mark. But staff would recommend approval as presented.
Welcome, Mark. Do you have anything to add?
I would just like to add, I apologize for not being able to attend the last meeting. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. That I was not able to attend the last meeting. I've had some health issues on and off, and trying to get back into the swing of things. And hopefully these drawings clarify some of the questions that came up at the last hearing. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Chris, do you have any questions? Chris?
You're muted, Chris.
Okay, so the handrail is coming out front and going down to the street, and whether the limestone steps can be reused.
We are going to look at the reuse of the limestone steps. They're going to have to be reset. They're all over the place in terms of rise and run, so we have to meet the code implications. But we will try and salvage, the ones that are possible, and then we'll need to reset the ones that go up onto the porch as well. Those are not original. Those are somebody's idea of stacking some slabs up. So we might like permission to do a wooden stair from the secondary grade up to the porch itself, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, it was those lower stairs that did look original. I could be wrong, but they look like it.
I think we would try and reset all the lower level so that they meet rise and run specifications
Right.
at the time of the remodel.
And then I would think you might want to specify how the handrail is going to look, so it doesn't.
Yeah, that handrail obviously is gone, and we would do handrails to meet code, but they would be much more open and light. They might be pipe or galvanized of some sort, maybe wrought iron to minimize their impact.
Right. Great. Thanks.
Deb, any questions?
Yes, my question has to do with the retaining wall at the sidewalk. We'd had conversation last time about that's really part of the streetscape. And so what are your plans, Mark, to keep it safe, of course, and functional, but not have it disappear, keep it retained?
Well, the keeping it safe part is something that we want to do too. We don't want any caps falling off on anybody walking down the sidewalk, but that wall would remain. It
Sam?
would certainly be our intent to keep it.
Sam?
Yes, Mark, has there been any investigation done as to what's under the current siding?
The siding is in pretty rough shape from what we've seen so far. Once that vinyl gets pulled off, we'll certainly take another look at that. And what I would suggest, Sam, is that at the time that the exterior selective demo gets completed, we could review that with Connor and see if there's anything worth salvaging. We certainly could talk about that, but I'm not going to make any promises yet.
Yeah, I would appreciate once you get the vinyl off to run it by staff.
Yeah. Obviously, the front gable is the most important gable. We certainly would want to look carefully at that one.
Gotcha. So the railing you were talking about with Chris Sturbaum was the one from the secondary stairs down to the street, right?
Yeah, no railing around the porch itself, but just handrails that are required by code to climb the stairs.
Gotcha. And from the last submission to this one, it looks like all the deck rail in the back has changed from like a goat fencing to more of a picket, wood picket.
Yeah. It would get painted.
Gotcha.
Once it dries out.
And that 3 and 12 at the back, that's an existing roof, right?
That is an existing roof that we would do some repair on, and obviously there's been some roof leaks over time. That middle section is completely collapsed in, and so we would need to, we'll pull off all those old roofs of the porches, and you can see where the plastic is on the right-hand edge of that picture. All that would come down and come off.
If that roof is bad enough, would you guys consider popping that up to a 6 and 12?
Well, the problem with a 6 and 12 is that addition is so wide that would become a dominant piece of the architecture. And as Connor and I have discussed over time, I'm a big fan of making sure that the old gable L is the dominant architecture and that this becomes a secondary piece of architecture, not a primary piece.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's going to be behind a 12 and 12 roof, so it's going to be lower. But it's got 3 different roof slopes on it, so it's a bit of a mess.
It does. I mean, as you can imagine from this photo that Connor has up now, when you're standing at the lower elevation, all you see is the eave line. And actually, we kind of like that you really don't see the roof at all on that back section. Unfortunately, it's just so wide. It's about 26 feet wide. And, when you start putting a steep pitch on that, it starts to look like a suburban volume, not a traditional core neighborhood volume. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I'm looking at the plan, the proposed floor plan, and the stuff in the back where I'm reading the.
It says 20 feet. Yeah.
It says 20'4".
20'4". Yeah, it used to go over the porch, and it won't do that anymore. So yeah, it's a little bit narrow, but the volumes that you typically see in the core neighborhoods are 14 and 16 foot widths. 20 foot's a little bit wide. I'd like to not highlight it too much, but we certainly would take recommendations from the group.
Gotcha. And then the only other question I got is the front porch column wrap is called out as vinyl column wrap. What's that about?
It's just a synthetic product like AZAC or some synthetic trim. You know, the dilemma these days is, what do you use? You know, cedar doesn't paint very well. Treated material isn't good enough. You know, you can't get redwood, and you kind of come down to hardy trim, the cement siding, or some of the synthetic plastic products.
And have you tried that? Have you tried the coal dust based stuff? That takes paint really well.
Not yet, but the AZAC is a similar. It's a dimensioned product. It's smooth. It paints. You know, that's the whole intent, is that we get a good wrap and a durable product.
Okay, I just wasn't familiar with the product, and I saw vinyl, and so I was.
Yeah, it's
concerned.
solid vinyl. This is a solid vinyl product.
Yeah, I still hate vinyl. It doesn't recycle. It's not an environmental material. So if you've got an option, I'd push it towards using something that's more environmentally sustainable.
Okay.
Okay, John,
I have no questions.
Jenny?
I had a question about the front steps also. I was interested in them because in your picture, they look like they were hand chisel.
Yes, the front one's down at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do the ones that go around the side and drop into the backyard, are those also hand chisel, or that's something else? I didn't go in the yard.
Those are something else. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And the only original limestone from my impression of the site is the front wall and those first 4 stairs.
I think there might be some original chiseled ones underneath those limestone slabs. If you look at the center picture we're looking at right now, I can kind of see a stone underneath the slab.
Yeah.
So you might find more when you're digging around down there. And I think probably historically, that's probably the most original part of the whole house, the hand chisel steps, and the most unusual and interesting. So if you guys could reuse that, I'd really, really like to see those steps reused.
We like reusing things. Obviously, that means we don't have to buy more.
Right.
But at the same time, the code and the riser heights and things we need to adhere to as well. I think we'll try and make both of those history and code things come together as best we can.
Okay.
Okay, Duncan? There, Duncan?
Sorry. Yeah, this little mute thing always kind of, holds me up. I don't have any questions.
Great, then I don't have any questions, and before we go to comments, I'm gonna remind the commission, this is Prospect Hill. Greater Prospect Hill, excuse me. Vinyl siding is allowed in Prospect Hill. So I think that's consideration.
I do have one more question. May I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
In the discovery, you may find some Victorian details in that front gable. And you may also find paint evidence of a Victorian style porch. It could be a real opportunity. We did the house across the street that has all that crazy Victorian detailing on it. And I would be surprised if this didn't have some. So if you pull that vinyl and there's something cool up there, what we did was just restore the front of the house. The rest of it has cement siding on it. But we restored the wood front, and it really, really pops.
Chris, we'd be happy to do that. Of course, we'll look at those details and see what we can find.
Yeah.
If there's a large freeze board up there, if there's any lacy trims or anything around an old column at the porch, we would certainly start there.
You may find like scalloped shingles up there. I don't know what you'll find, but I wouldn't be surprised, and
it
it's
needs something, doesn't it? Because the gable is obviously the window's undersized now, and that throws it off. but
Sure.
that extra bit of height, you could imagine a 12-inch freeze board or something up there, you know?
I bet something's going on. And then I bet you'll see in the paint line what the original porch was when you pull things off. Just see
Well-
what's there, because you have a real opportunity to show that face, and that could be a great selling point of the house too.
We appreciate the thought, and we certainly would salvage and make it as close to that original as we can.
Right. So yeah, if you find something cool, give us a buzz. I'd sure come down and look, and I know Connor would like to.
Okay, happy to.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the public? One other thing before we move on to comments, the subcommittee for Clear Prospect Hill is in favor of this COA. Chris, comments?
No comments? Nope, no more comments.
Yeah,
No comments, just thanks for the owner and Mark really trying to bring out the history of this house. Thanks.
Sam?
I appreciate the changes you guys have made since the last meeting, and I hope you guys, especially you, Mark, I hope you continue to feel better.
Thank you.
John?
I have no additional comments, and the same thing goes out to Mark. I'm glad to see he's better, and go with it.
Jenny? You're muted. You're still muted. There
There,
you go.
okay. I think it's going to be a vast improvement. I think it'll be an exciting project, and I wish everyone well on it. It's going to be a big project, but I think it'll be amazing when you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, good project. Thank you.
Dee, please just note that Renard Cross just entered the meeting at 5:19.
Okay, I'm entertaining a motion for this.
One quick comment, one more. I just keep feeling the front of that house, and I know there'll be freeze boards. There need to be corner boards. That front is sick, and it really needs help. So I think you'll find an opportunity to do something cool to it, and I'm encouraging that to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I move to approve COA 21-08, 213 South Maple Street.
I'll second.
Dee?
Chris Durbaum,
Yes.
Sean Saunders,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Abstain.
Eb Hutton,
Yes.
Bernard Cross,
Abstain.
Jeff Golden.
Yes.
Motion carries 4 yes, 0 no, 2 abstain.
Okay, let's move on to COA 21-07.
All right, this is 118 South College Street. Petitioner Olympus Properties, Victor Gutierrez should be here representing them tonight. This is a Beaux-Art commercial structure built around 1925. Its rating is notable. It's known as the Harlow's building. And the storefront that we're seeing here was damaged last year and was struck by an automobile accident. You can see in some pictures here. So really, this section here was the part that was damaged. You can see from the inside of the store here. This metal framing you can see on here is original. We believe it was bronze, and it kind of has some neat little decorative elements in it, but that's going to have to be replaced. So if you look over here, this is 120 South College. This is what they're going to make the damaged section look like. They're going to remove a door, which we don't think was original. We think it would probably look like this. If you look at the entire facade. Sorry, could everyone make sure they're muted? So this is now going to look like this. I'm not sure on the material, the metal framing material that's going to be used. I think Victor can speak more to that. They were looking at a couple different options. I would recommend the using bronze. I think the profile will be a little closer to the original. One more element that we're going to be looking at here today is this. This is going to be removed. This glass is actually cracked. It needs to be replaced. And they're going to take the opportunity to remove this piece of limestone, which is obviously not original to the building, and you can just tell by looking at it. They're going to remove that. They're going to restore the glass to the original size that it was, and fix. They're also going to fix some broken limestone down here that was caused by the automobile accident as well. So overall, this is a restoration type activity, at least based on what we think is architectural evidence. So staff looking at this would really recommend approval of COA 2107.
Petitioner, yeah?
Victor, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm right here. So.
Anything to add?
Yeah, so for the metal frame on 118, we have been looking for the closest metal we might be able to find to match that, but we have not found anything that closely resembles the historical one. We did, however, get a sample for an anodized aluminum frame, which would be powder coated in dark bronze to match the color of the original and get as close as we can to that original look of the metal.
Great. Chris, you have any questions?
No questions.
Deb? You're muted, Deb.
She's not there.
Oh, she's not there, so we'll skip her. Sam?
Yeah, what manufacturer are you planning to use, and what size profile are you trying to use? And what's the door size that you're going to use, and what's the door profile that you're going to use?
Sam, the door is not going to be there. They're going to replace it to look like the top.
Oh, so it just goes all the way. I'm sorry, I apologize. So track that back to the storefront profile size. And also, it looks like you've got that bronze beam that runs above the system. I assume that's going to stay.
Yeah.
And it looks like none of the base and the base limestone pieces are going to be replaced in the same size with the same cuts. Yes.
Yeah. So the stone in the middle would be replaced. It was one of the ones damaged. We would be keeping the one to the right, as that one did not take damage from the hit, and then we would be adding a new one on where the door currently is to support the window, and these would be made to look as the original as well.
So, what manufacturer and what profile size are you using for the storefront system?
So for the metal frame, we're using Thixton. If I can get back with you, I'll have to check on the manufacturer for the limestone.
Not the limestone, the windows, the storefront window system.
Let me check. Sorry. If it's okay, could I get back to you on that? I just need to double check that information. We're using a contractor, so I'll just double check on that.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, the contractor, who's Rusty Peterson, he's been in front of us before. He wasn't able to make the meeting tonight. He would have, I think, a lot of those specifics for you, Sam.
Deb, you have any questions? She gone again? Yeah. Okay. John, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so if I understand this right, the door's going away and they're going to be using new window material. Will that new material match the other storefronts that's already there?
John, it won't be exactly the same. It sounds like they kind of want to go with an anodized aluminum, and we believe this is brass. Obviously, it has some patina on it, so it has a color. And the profiles, I don't believe, will be identical. And like I said, it'll be a different material, but I think they're going to try to replicate it as closely as possible.
So what I'm asking then is the storefront for Bent, is that the original brass that was there to start with?
Yes.
Or has that been replaced in using the current materials?
That's going to be left alone. It's still going to continue the same historic material.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you, Connor.
Deb, do you have any questions?
I'll wait till comments. Thanks.
Okay. Jenny?
Yeah, just a quick question about the right-hand thing where the limestone's going to be removed from between the doors. So those will be the doors for the whole building then? The only entrance to the front?
Victor?
Right, yes.
Okay. Are you doing anything with the doors? They look like they're original to me, but I'm not sure. Are you keeping them the way they are?
Yeah, the doors would remain the way they are.
Okay, that was my question.
Bernard, any questions?
No questions.
Duncan?
Yeah, these bronze storefronts, I've worked on several of them, and I've never found a replacement material that matches them. To my knowledge, I don't know of anybody who makes it anymore, but I have had it repaired. And I wonder if the petitioner has considered that, because, and I can't see how bad it is here and there, but it can be straightened and it can be repaired, depending on how bad the damage is, obviously. But you won't find any material other than a standard storefront, aluminum or whatever, to match those windows. I mean, to match those other storefronts. Unless somebody has come along who started reproducing it, and I don't know about. Mainly, they don't reproduce it because it's not set up to take thermal pain units. So people just stopped using it. So when it's damaged like this, that's all she wrote. But you're not going to have a match. I mean, you can color it, but standard storefront is a rectangular profile. It's much heavier looking. It's not going to match. So I'm just suggesting that it might be worth looking at having it repaired by an artisan. If you want those all to match, because this is going to be an eyesore in the middle of this otherwise original building. That was my question comment.
We have looked into repairs. The storefront did take quite a bit of damage, and another issue would be with the extension to where the door is. We would have to. We wouldn't have any existing material to extend to that side.
Everything in red is being replaced.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Any questions from the public? Commissioner comments? Chris?
Yeah, just when you're shopping for limestone, it's harder to find true buff stone anymore. So you ought to be careful and try to get buff. That's my comment.
Deb?
My only comment would be whatever material you find to be your new window frames, just to try and get the color as close as possible to the existing ones.
Sam?
The picture on the right looks like you're just thirding it. I would try to match what's going on with bent, where you sort of have a quarters and then a half in the middle. And I think that will really help with your, be very, very careful about the proportions of those windows. The other thing is, I'd like to see a little more information on what height you're using on the base at the replacement of the bay to the north or the right. And I would actually advocate that we table this until we get manufacturer information and model series from either the contractor or the participant or the applicant, because that's going to make a huge difference. You can get storefront that's 1.75" as opposed to 2" and like an anodized oil rub bronze, and it's not going to be what's there. But I think we need to see samples, and I think we need to find out exactly what they're using.
Victor, just to clarify, you are going to be replicating this. This was just kind of an error with the red lines. You are going to be replicating the width of these 3 panes in this replacement, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
John?
I have no comments.
And for the glass, it'll be a 1/4" thick clear tempered glass, but I will work on getting the manufacturer that we'll be using for that.
Bernard?
No comments.
Jenny?
Sam already commented on the size of the windows, which was what I was going to comment on to make sure to match them up, because there's at least 3 sets. Is it 3 or 4 sets above and below? And when you looking up and down and across, it'll really stick out if it's not the same proportion as the other fronts, because the rest of them, as you see above it, is 4, and those all match across. And then below it, you've got 3 and then 3. And then if you get off, see even the one to the right where you're going to replace the center pane there, you can see that's also wider in the middle, and then the doors are narrower. So it's kind of echoing where the doors are. Okay, that was my comment.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually distinct from one another. At least they have been until now. They're not all the same. One is recessed a little bit, and but they do all have that bronze storefront in them. And I agree with Sam. I think we need to clarify what that material is, because I've used what I think they're talking about before, and it's going to really make a difference. And this is a National Register building.
Okay, I don't have any other comments except the possibility that we can approve this subject to Connor reviewing the manufacturer. And with that exception, if he doesn't feel it's acceptable, that comes back to us.
Well,
just an idea.
Maybe they can say what they're looking for, so I can look for that as well.
Well, I think what they're looking for is something that looks more similar to.
So they want a thinner profile,
right?
Like Sam said, 1 3/4" versus maybe a thicker profile for the frames of the windows. Yeah.
So that's a suggestion. I'm not, it's up to you guys. I'm gonna wait and see how you where we go with this. And you're welcome, unless there's any comments from the public. Hearing none.
Motion to request a continuance to the next meeting with more information.
I'll second that.
Steve?
Dee, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Chris Sturbaum,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Deb Hutton,
Yes.
Bernard Cross,
Yes.
Jeff Golden.
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No.
No? Okay. Okay, motion carries. 5 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Okay, Victor, thank you. You get that information to me and I'll get you on the next meeting, which is March 11th.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to COA 21-09.
So this is the 330 South Madison Street, located in the Greater Prospect Hill Local Historic District. Pyramid roof cottage built around 1915, a contributing building. The request is to construct a dormer on this elevation here, east elevation of the building, which is facing Prospect Street. The dormer will essentially be 13 foot wide. It'll have a hipped roof with a 612 pitch. The size will be 4-inch fiber cement lap, and there will be 4 1/1 windows. I got the feedback I got from the local review committee, the district review committee was support for the project. And I don't see any reasons looking at the design guidelines or otherwise why this should be denied. So staff would recommend approval of COA 2109. I believe Reg Land, the property owner, is here with us, as well as his architect, Steve Miller, for questions.
Anything you guys want to add?
I'm Steve Miller. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Chris, questions?
Not really. It's hard to see what that'll look like from the ground. I don't see how you could do anything else with that pitch. Did you say that's hipped back?
Yes.
Okay. No questions then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to say hi, Steve Miller, architect. Looks great.
Sam?
2 questions. One's a sort of a clarification question. I see in the proposal that the fiber cement is slated to have a wood grain. Is that true?
Reg, are you on? He needs to unmute probably.
Yes, you're right. Hello, I'm here. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yes, the wood grain fiber cement. Yes, Sam.
And I guess the other question I have is what is the material for the window?
Wood?
So not a clad, just a painted wood?
No, it's aluminum clad.
Like a Pella, it'd be a Pella window.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John?
Hi, Steve. I don't have any questions. It looks like a very good project.
Bernard?
No questions.
Jenny?
I was wondering, is the wall and the garage door going to be the same?
Yes.
Okay, it just looked a lot different in the drawing. I like it.
May I add something, please?
Sure.
I have this is on me. Unfortunately, I've just become aware that we were trying to mimic a historic design on this property of an older home that I saw a photograph of. The 4 windows in that 13-foot wide dormer are not wide enough for code, unfortunately. So we may have to switch to 3 windows. I was wondering if we can do that subject to Connor's approval.
When we go through the approval of the COA, we can do that if we decide to do that. Duncan?
No, I don't have any questions, except I wonder why you're not retired, Steve.
Having too much fun, no. I'm actually saying yes to all the phone calls I'm getting. A lot of people are counting on me to get in there and help them resolve things. And so as long as I keep enjoying helping people and like the process, I keep saying yes. And then every once in a while I ask that same question. Hey, I'd like to do some writing or some sculpture or some traveling or something.
Yeah,
But anyway, it's around the corner.
I have the same problem.
Yeah.
Any questions from the public? Commissioner comments? Chris?
Yeah, so I'm assuming the siding is staying. Is that a vinyl siding?
No, that is aluminum siding right now, and I'm hoping to someday to remedy that, but right now I've got to do this other project first.
Right, and then we always use the smooth-sided cement board because it looks more like the wood.
Okay.
And is there going to be trim around those windows on the dormer?
Certainly there's going to be trim. And if you prefer smooth siding, that's fine with me.
I think you'll find that you prefer it after,
okay.
Once you pull that other stuff off, if you ever do, it'll be smooth.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely use smooth siding. I have no problem with that.
Oh. Okay, I guess, good deal. I like this. I think it's going to help the house.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like the project. I think it'll be, as Chris said, an improvement to the house. It'll look great, so.
Sam?
There we go. There we go. It is required in the Greater Prospect Hill design guidelines for you to use the smooth-sided stuff. So I'm glad to hear that you're willing to do that. The other thing that I would advocate for is to match. Well, it's hard to tell, but if there's original trim on the lower floor, just match the proportions of the lower trim on the stuff you use upstairs. But otherwise, I think it's a great project, and I wouldn't have a problem with Connor doing a staff approval on. I assume it's an escape window for a bedroom that you're having issues with.
Yes, correct.
That's what I got. Thanks.
So I agree with you on that about the trim.
John?
I have no additional comments. Thank you.
Jenny?
I agree with the other people's comments. They already stated my interests.
Bernard?
No, I think it's fine. I think you should go ahead. Looks good.
Duncan?
No comment.
Okay, I'm entertaining a motion, and we need to address the window issue.
I'll move to approve COA 21-09, subject to the following conditions. One, that you use smooth-sided siding on the upper portion of the dormer and also match the size of the existing trim down below. And also that the window configuration is subject to staff approval.
Second.
Chris Sturbaum,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Sam Zoller,
Yes.
Deb Hutton,
Yes.
Bernard Cross,
Yes.
Jeff Golden.
Yes.
Motion carries 600.
You're muted.
We lost you.
May I make one comment?
Sure.
I have had to sometimes use a casement window that looks like a double hung to get the clearance that we need there for exit. So that's just a bit of experience there.
So is that okay if we are looking at this drawing, but we switch the casements? Are you okay with that?
What I've said, I was saying that I've gotten casements before that have a crossbar in them that mimic a double hung. And you may have to get that exit code.
So are you suggesting that would be kind of part of the motion that you would approve switching to casement with that kind of mullion design?
Only if you have to. I'm sort of informing Connor's going to do that review, and I'm saying that might be a necessity. And if you do that middle bar, they look the same, and you get everybody out safely.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, let's move on to demolition delay. That's demolition delay 21-03. Go for it, Connor.
319 East Dixie Street. This is Ray is contributing. The request is for full demolition of this structure. Looks to be American small house or a minimal traditional style home built in the 1940s. Appears to be in fine condition, at least from the outside, although the applicant, David Carrico, who's with us, can talk more about that if you want to hear about it. But just looking at it, the cursory view, I wouldn't recommend designation of the structure, and I would recommend releasing demolition delay 2103.
David, do you have anything to add?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I don't have a lot to add. I just I want to go ahead and proceed. We want to build a house, a decent house for my daughter, actually, to move in here. And this house is has just got over 7-foot ceilings inside. It's got a kitchen on the back that I think used to be a back porch. It's on a slab. You have to walk down 2 steps into the kitchen. And right now, I don't think it was ever on a ever built on a foundation, at least that part of the house. And it's leaking, and that slab has heaved over time. And it's just not. I had a contractor in there a while back, and he said it's not worth putting any money into the house because it's pretty much almost you have to completely tear it down and maybe save one wall or something. So, I mean, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Great, thank you. I'm going to remind the commission, and it looks like we have some members of the public here. This is demolition delay. We don't have any say about any future use of this site. What we have control over is we either release the permit or we recommend this for historic designation to the city council. So Chris, do you have any questions?
No.
Deb?
Nope.
Sam?
No questions.
John?
No questions.
Bernard?
None.
Jenny?
No questions.
Duncan?
This is not in a historic district or conservation district?
Does not.
Okay.
Any questions from the public?
I have a comment.
Sure.
This is Jan Sorby, and I know there's nothing that can be done. I know this house does not stand on its own to become, a historic site on its own. But I have to say that I walked around it. The condition looks fine to me. I've worked on many, many houses myself. And that's not the point. The point is that the owner wants to do something different with it. And, I don't begrudge David from wanting to do this. He's a well-known landlord in our neighborhood. And sure, his daughter might live there for a few years. I think that this is a sign of things to come. I will say that it's not an historic district. Years ago, the Bryant Park neighborhood began doing a historic district. Nancy Heasted began drawing up maps. And before we could even get started, there were so many landlords in the neighborhood who called the city that the few neighbors, we only have about 41% owner occupied in Bryant Park. And it was just beyond. So we are in a situation in Bryant Park where there are so many landlords that we couldn't get protection from landlords. And I don't begrudge landlords for making money. I'm a landlord myself. And I suspect, I don't know, I suspect David will build a nice house there. And I suspect when his daughter leaves, it will become the first of maybe 6-bedroom duplexes in the neighborhood. And I think this is our future. And I think that this is a real serious question if we're willing to throw away a neighborhood like Bryant Park or Waterman that is indeed a historic neighborhood, but relies on the fabric of context rather than, much like McDowell, rather than super duper beautiful houses. Along Washington and Lincoln, we do have some outstanding houses. But for the most part, it is the fabric that makes the wonderful thing about wonderful character of Bryant Park. So I just want to have my voice heard saying that this, and even if David does not build a 6-bedroom duplex, I just want my voice to be heard that this is the start of what our future is going to be like. And I think that's a serious question for historic preservation. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. It's zone R3 currently, which would not allow a duplex.
No, that's not true. R3 will allow a duplex if the changes are passed.
Right. Well, that hasn't happened yet.
True.
And my experience in your neighborhood is that that's becoming, there's a higher percentage of owner occupants than that 41%. And that it might be time to rethink about historic designation for Bryant Park.
Well, actually, I went through every single property in the neighborhood and I could determine what was owner occupied. Now, the houses that one could not determine if they were owner occupied, they might be, they might have their, like David's talking about, they might have their kids living there and have the taxes sent to a different address. There are several houses that are exclusively owner occupied, but they are used for Airbnb exclusively. And so I went through every property in the neighborhood, looked it up on the GIS. I could determine what was owner occupied. And it is 41%, and that does not count the apartment building.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Jan. I appreciate it.
Robert, you have a question?
Yes, hi. I live at 804 South Grant, so I'm the house right next door, just north. And I was just tuning in to see, what the plans were and like what size house were you thinking about putting up there and stuff like that?
Robert, that's a question you can ask at a different time. That we don't have purview over that, so we're not going to even address it.
Okay, where do I find that out?
Well, I'll talk to you at some other time if you'd like.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Yeah, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Susan, you have a question? You're muted. You're muted.
Muted, Susan.
There you go.
Okay, I'm Susan Bright, and I'm just on here more like Jan was to voice my opinion of revisiting the historic district. I appreciate what Steve Miller had done and designed a house that was in the historic district's template, I guess. And I live around the corner in the next block, and my cousin lives next door. He just spoke 804 South, or South Grant. And I just hope that we give more consideration to these houses that are being demolished and sitting here with a bunch of empty lots in our neighborhood, because I don't think that looks good either. I like to look at this little yellow house. I'm sure David's correct and it's not worth restoring, but just an empty lot also is disturbing. It's just like an empty vacant building with no one in it for years. It just puts a demise on the community itself. So I'm hoping that we don't go forward allowing a lot of demolitions in our neighborhood and letting these lots sit empty until future zoning allows different things to happen. So that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner comments? Chris?
A conservation district is something to reconsider. The vote is one owner per, you don't have one vote per house, you have one vote per person.
There is no vote that happens, Chris. With creation of a historic or conservation district, there's no vote required. The only requirement by the city is that the applicants host 2 public information meetings. And I was going to suggest to Ms. Bright that if they want to explore becoming a historic district again, that's certainly an avenue that's open, and I could work with them on that. But just wanted to address what you said. There isn't any kind of vote required by the property owners.
Okay, thank you. It sometimes happens as a political method.
Yeah.
No comments.
Sam?
No comments.
John?
No comments.
Any? You're muted.
Hello?
No.
Okay, thanks. Bernard?
No comment.
Duncan?
Well, just to lend my support to the people from the neighborhood, I mean, this is truly a dilemma. By way of clarification, if you're confused by our action, we only have 2 options. We can either put something up for designation to the city council, or basically allow the demolition to go forward. And we have a lot of criteria that we look at for what we think is worthy of historic designation. Context happens to be one of them, Jan, but we're pretty much strapped in a situation like this. And so designation or conservation district is really the only opportunity that you have if you want to slow down the demolition game. And I definitely encourage you to do it.
Okay, any other comments from the public?
I have one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I just want to respond to Jan's comments here. I have to say that you're reading way too much into this. My daughter has a good job at the hospital and plans to stick around town for some time. I'm going to deed this property to her. It's going to be in her name, not my name, if that's what you're worried about. And secondly, if I wanted to overdevelop it or develop it into something else, there's actually 2 lots here on what I have, or 2 half lots. And I talked to the city about this. Actually, I didn't even realize it, but if I wanted to, I could build 2 small houses on it. And I could max it out that way if I wanted to. But that's not my plan. My plan is for my daughter to have a decent place to live and all that. And so, I think that I think we're getting carried away sometimes, envisioning stuff that's just not the case. It's not going to happen. So I just want to put that out there as to what the truth is.
Thank you, David. Okay, today regarding the property located at 319 East Dixie Street, the Historic Preservation Commission declares that we got notice of the proposed demolition, and after today's discussion, sees no need to review the plans any further and waives the rest of the demolition delay waiting period. The HPC may later recommend the property for historic designation of the common council.
Second.
Keith?
Chris Sturbaum,
Yes.
John Saunders,
Yes.
Sam DeSaller,
Yes.
Deb Hutton,
Yes.
Bernard Cross,
Yes.
Jeff Golden.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0-0.
Thank you, and thank you for everybody's input. And I would encourage you to pursue conservation or historic district.
Just one kind of procedural thing, and I'm going to start saying this at the beginning of meetings, but I think it's important that everybody mute their mics unless they are speaking. That's members of the public and commissioners as well. We've had a little bit of an issue with that this meeting. So just for the future, please remember to mute your mic unless you're speaking. Thank you.
Okay, we don't have anything, no new business, no old business. Any commissioner comments tonight?
Wish David well with the project.
Anybody else? Any comments from the public? Any announcements? Let's call it a night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, everybody.